Alright, so the first thing I do when we get to Snug Harbor is first take them down to the bathrooms, that little gift shop. Make sure that my 3 hour trips know that the bathrooms, this will be the last stop basically for the rest of the trip. And the little gift shop, if they did forget snacks, water, Gatorade, or like a little shot of espresso at the very end, that's where they should go and get it, as well as little souvenirs. Um, I'll tell them to take their time if they want, or just tell them to follow me down to the boats. If they do want to take their time at the little gift shop or whatever, I'm gonna make sure that they know where I'm gonna be. Point out where I am at the dock, where the boats are, where they should meet me. Um, at that point, I'll leave them. I'll go down to the boats, get them ready, push their boats into the water, put the seats in, start sponging them out, as well as pushing the foot pedals pretty far up there so that even when they get into the boats, it's easier for them to adjust just by pulling instead of having to really mess with them. Um, Also, if I have time, I'm going to put my boat in the water, add all the safety gear, um, and also pull up the spray skirts as well as open the lock boxes and the life jacket box. Um, so when the guests do come down, I'm going to tell them all about the lockbox, how this will be the safest and the place where your stuff will be kept dry for the period of our trip. I'll also give them their spray skirt and go through a little tutorial about how to put it on, making sure that that yellow handle is in front of them, making sure that they're either stepping into uh, the spray skirt with the blue part facing up or pulling it over their head with the neoprene black part facing down. I'll also tell them where to where to place it on their chest, that where the blue and the black meets, that's what you want it about at your belly button. For ladies, above or below, whichever is comfortable. Also tell them that is because the blue part isn't actually waterproof and that the neoprene is. But even if it is pooling in the black neoprene, it is still going to soak through and look like you peed yourself afterwards. Um, and so when they all get their spray skirts on, I'll hand out some life jackets, get them to put them on. I'll probably loosen them to for some of the customers, especially if they're larger in size. Um, I then will make sure that all the straps on, especially the shoulders, because I usually forget about the shoulders, that those are tightened down and that I'm happy with the life jackets just as well as they are comfortable. Next, once they have their life jackets on, they've got everything on. If it's a day trip, I'm going to have them put all their stuff in the bins or have them hand me their stuff to put into the bin or the covers of the kayaks. And then I'm going to tell them about how to get into the kayak and like proper sitting form. I'll tell them that the best way of sitting in a kayak is to have your legs at about a diamond shape. And then your feet with your toes pointing up against the pedals, just resting. For the people in back, those are what you're going to use to steer. And for the people in front, those are just for comfort. So just accordingly. For the people in back, though, I do want your pedals to be even while your rudder is straight. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later. So getting into the boat, I'll sit down onto the dock, tell them about the diamond shape, and then introduce or show them how to get into the boat by demonstration. The first thing I do is swing my legs and set them into the boat, keeping my center of gravity low at all times. That's the best way to flip a boat, keeping your center of gravity high, and never to stand up in these boats at all, because that is the most likely case that you will tip over or fall out. So once you swing your legs over, I want you to reach over to the other side of the dock and then lower yourself into the kayak, making sure not to sit on your spray skirt. Once I'm into the kayak, I'll just give them a brief tutorial about putting on the spray skirt and reaching back behind you and showing them how to find the black plastic knob, putting that around the back, and working around the sides is the easiest way to put the spray skirt on. And then eventually at the top, flipping it over and making sure that the yellow handle, or oh crap strap, as I like to call it, is showing. So, and then I'll also show them how to remove the spray skirt, show them that the way to remove a spray skirt, and especially during a capsize, you're going to be very disoriented. You'll be underwater. The best thing to do instead of just searching for that yellow strap is to find your hips, work your way up along the combing, and then when you find the yellow handle, push forward and then up. And then it'll eject you if the water pressure doesn't already. So once I've done that, I will get out of the boat and let them know that they are free to get into the boats, and then I will help them adjust their pedals. Hopefully they've all decided their positions at that point. If they haven't, we'll work something out, rock, paper, scissors, or whatnot. Then I'll have them test their spray skirts, make sure that they are able to remove it, make sure that it's clear that that yellow handle needs to be kept out, and that they are able to reattach the spray skirt. Next up, I will test the steering and give the people in the back a little bit of a tutorial about that. Making sure that everybody's pedals are comfortable. Make sure that they understand how to flip the rudder in, especially for day trips. That you reach back, you find that little plastic knob or little knot in the rope. You pull that relatively hard. You're not going to want to pull it so hard that the rudder slams into the boat when it comes down. But I'll have them reach back, pull that little knob forward, and then also explain to them that to lift the rudder up, you reach back with your left and pull that knob. Once their rudders are in, I'll have them test their steering. I'm going to make sure that they all understand that when they push on the right pedal, their boat's going to go right. When they push on the left pedal, their boat's going to go left. Then I'll ask all of the people in back to push with their right as far as they can. I'm going to take note of all their steering and make sure that they all look good, that the angle's steep enough so that they'll actually be able to turn. Then I'll have them all push with their left, and same thing there. If one of the boats is not looking good or up to snuff, I'll have to go and mess with the foot pedals and make sure that everything is working before we get out there, because that would not be fun out in the water. Once we've got our pedals done, they understand how the spray skirt works, they are comfortable in the kayaks, the people in back know how to steer, the people in front know that their job is to set the pace and also look out for rocks or wood and communicate with the back person. Then I will move on to a paddle talk. With the paddle talk, I'll set out all the paddles, not hand them out just yet, and I'll give them a quick lesson about paddling. I'll grab myself a paddle to show them how that's going to go. I'll grab the paddle and make sure that they understand the correct orientation of the paddle. That you want the circular Werner symbol facing you, and that you want the long part of the blade on top and the shorter on bottom. Once I've briefly talked about that, I'm going to have them, once I tell them, I'm going to tell them to look for the little white zero in the middle, slightly to the right of slightly to the left of the middle of the paddle, and then also look for the seam slightly to the right of that. I'm going to tell them that's the center of their paddle, that's where it's going to split apart. But to line that up with the zipper on their life jacket. And once they've done that, have them put their paddle, well at this point they don't have paddles, I'll tell them about how to hold the paddle, and that putting it on their head with having a 90-degree plus a little maybe with their arms is the best way to hold the paddle. And also tell them that What we don't want out in the water is to have them have little T-Rex arms, which will get them nowhere. It'll tire them out a lot quicker and be very uncomfortable. I will also talk about the stroke and that it's a feet to seat motion, and then it's kind of like bicycling but with your arms. You also want to get that rotation in your body, so it'll look somewhat like this, where you push all the way forward to your seat with that rotation, and then when you're pulling back, I don't want you to only just use that bicep, but I also want you to push with the opposite hand. Holding a paddle, you can hold it pretty loose in your hands. You don't want to have that really tight grip. That's going to cause a lot of calluses and could be very uncomfortable. But do think about that pushing motion with the other hand, because that'll work all of those other muscles that you want. Plus, it will tire you out less. So just always be thinking feet to seat, and that you want your paddle not deep in the water. You don't want this is not white water kayaking, this is not canoeing. You don't want the paddle just straight up and down into the water. You want it to be on the surface. You want it to go on the surface so the whole blade is in the water, but just barely. This will keep you a little bit more dry. It won't be facing straight up with drops hitting you. At that point, I'll also tell them about the drip rings and that they should be about 2 fists lengths away from the blade of the paddle. I'll also talk about their design, what they're for, and that if you do dip it in the water, it kind of defeats the purpose, because then it's going to drip on you. With that said, I will, what is it called? I'm going to push some of the boats out a little bit, stagger the boats, there we go. I'm going to stagger some of the boats, hand out the paddles, saying, watch out for your neighbor, watch out for your neighbor. I'm going to hand out the paddles in the way that they should be facing. I'll have them hold the paddle just above their head, make sure that everybody's got that 90 degrees and that nobody's like this. That's the only thing I'll probably look for at that time. Make sure everybody's feeling comfortable with it, and then I'll give them a little safety talk. It'll probably be something along the lines of just, all right, you guys, so once we're out there, it could be a little choppy. We're going to be dealing with wind, we're going to be dealing with currents, or it could just be a clear day. But in any case, I need you guys to be careful. I need you guys to use your heads. The only instances I've really heard of people capsizing are when people are being not smart, and they're rocking the boat, and they want to pet the whale as it goes by. So just be level-headed about it, and in the unlikely case that you do capsize, I'll be over there as quick as humanly possible, and when you do go over, find that crab strap, release yourself, you'll float to the surface, your PFD will help you float to the surface, and then I want you to bear hug that boat. If you can, hold on to your paddle. If not, that's totally fine. It floats, we'll be able to get it. So then what's very important is, I know you'll be in shock. I know it's going to be very cold. All I need from you is to stay calm, very calm, and just look me dead in the eyes and listen to every word I'm saying and follow them accordingly. It's going to be totally fine. Don't worry about it. We'll get back. We'll get you warm. We'll get you some snacks. It'll be great. But with that said, I guess it's probably more important to tell you guys how not to tip these boats. As you'll notice when we get out there, very quickly, you'll notice that these boats are very difficult to tip. They're extremely difficult to both just roll over. So the best way to prevent those kind of rolling situations is to just be communicating with your partner. You don't want to both be lunging after something, and especially if you drop something off the side of the boat, The best, and if it doesn't float, the best thing you can do for it is just wave goodbye. Have a few seconds of silence for it. It's gone. If there is something that floats, make sure to point it out to me, because I still don't want you lunging over the boat. I'm an expert of picking things out of the water, so don't you worry about it. I'll be over there to get it for you. Um, Also, again, as I said, communication. If your partner in front or in the back wants to lean over and touch a log or something, or just look over and see a jellyfish as it swims by, be just talking and just tell your person that, hey, I'm gonna lean over to the left. Could you balance me out? Or just look with your head like this, not a full body movement. That's going to tip your boat. So with a safety talk basically all done, I'll shove them out one at a time, make sure that they understand um, that to stay in my sight, they'll go out, circle around. I'll give them a little goal or an objective, and that I'll meet them out at the white buoys right outside of right outside of the marina. But do stay in line of sight. At that time, I'm gonna go make sure I've got all my safety gear, get in my boat, grab my paddle, and then go join them out on the water. Yeah. Thanks.